Millionaire, CEO, pretended to be an employee until he fell in love with a desperate poor girl. Imagine this, a millionaire CEO, used to living in a world of boardrooms, tailored suits, and impossible decisions, decides one day to step out of his gilded cage. He trades his corner office for the humdrum of the regular workforce, hiding his identity behind a simple light blue shirt and an unassuming demeanor. But what starts as a quiet experiment takes a turn he never saw coming, because, sometimes, love doesn't care about titles or bank accounts. This is the story of Adrian Cole, a man who had everything but felt like something was missing, and Luna Bennett, a struggling young woman with nothing left to lose but her pride. What happens when two lives collide in the most unexpected way? Let's dive into their journey, where power dynamics blur, hearts race, and destinies rewrite themselves. It all begins on a seemingly ordinary morning. Luna, desperate and out of options, walks into Brightcore, a company she's sure won't give her a second glance. Her resume is tucked under her arm, and her confidence hangs by a thread. She steps into the elevator, hoping against hope that, maybe, just maybe, someone will see potential in her. That's when he walks in. Adrian, dressed casually and scrolling through his phone, seems miles away from the high-stakes life he leads upstairs. The tension crackles as Luna nervously breaks the silence with her quirky elevator philosophy, leaving him intrigued and amused. Little does she know, this chance encounter will change both their lives forever. Luna isn't your typical protagonist. She's witty, bold, and unfiltered, with a knack for turning awkward moments into memorable ones. When the elevator stalls midway between floors, it's her quick thinking and humor that calm Adrian's claustrophobia. For those brief minutes, they're not employer and employee. They're just two people stuck together, sharing laughter and vulnerability. It's here we catch our first glimpse of Adrian's softer side, hidden beneath layers of responsibility and expectation. And while Luna leaves the elevator, thinking she'll never see him again, fate has other plans. Days later, she receives a call offering her a job at Brightcore. No interview required. Confused but grateful, Luna steps into her new role, unaware of the storm brewing around her. Adrian, meanwhile, can't stop thinking about the girl who made an elevator ride feel lighter than any board meeting ever could. As CEO, he's accustomed to being untouchable, distant, even feared. But Luna challenges that image simply by being herself. Her honesty, creativity, and refusal to play corporate games draw him in, forcing him to confront parts of himself he thought were long buried. Yet, instead of revealing his true identity, Adrian chooses to remain incognito, blending into the background as he watches Luna navigate her new reality. His reasons are complicated. Perhaps he wants to protect her from the chaos his name might bring, or maybe he's afraid of losing the authenticity their connection brings. Either way, his decision sets the stage for a tangled web of secrets and emotions. As Luna settles into her role, she quickly becomes a favorite among her colleagues. Her ideas are fresh, her energy infectious, but there's always a lingering question. Why did someone like her get hired without so much as a formal process? Whispers follow her down hallways, and soon, she notices Adrian popping up everywhere. At first, she finds it charming. He listens intently, offers thoughtful advice, and even shares light-hearted banter over coffee. There's undeniable chemistry between them, but also a growing sense of unease. Something about him feels off. Is he really just another coworker, or is there more to his story? The tension escalates during a brainstorming session. led by none other than Adrian himself. Dressed sharply and exuding authority, he guides the team through a creative exercise designed to challenge conventional thinking. Luna shines, presenting a campaign idea so raw and honest, it leaves everyone speechless, including Adrian. In that moment, he realizes she's not just talented, she's extraordinary. Their connection deepens, culminating in a quiet moment after the meeting where words are replaced by a kiss. A kiss that feels electric, real, and full of promise, but as quickly as the spark ignites, doubt creeps in. Who is this man, really? And why does it feel like he's holding back? Things take a dramatic turn when Luna accidentally stumbles upon the truth. Standing in a boardroom filled with executives, she sees Adrian for who he truly is. Adrian Cole, CEO of Brightcore. The revelation hits her like a ton of bricks. All the pieces fall into place. The mysterious appearances, the effortless charm, the sudden job offer. Betrayal mixes with confusion as she processes what this means for her career, her dignity, and the fragile bond they've built. Was their connection genuine? Or was she just another pawn in his game? The weight of the situation threatens to crush her, but deep down, she knows the answer lies somewhere in between. Adrian, too, faces his own reckoning. Watching Luna walk away from the boardroom, hurt and disillusioned, forces him to confront the consequences of his actions. He wanted to shield her from judgment, to let her shine without the shadow of his influence. But now, he's pushed her further away than ever before. Determined to make things right, he reaches out, pleading his case. He admits his mistakes, lays bare his fears, and vows to fight for them. Not as CEO and employee, but as equals. The question remains, will Luna forgive him, or has the damage gone too far to repair? Their story is far from over. As rumors swirl and investigations loom, Luna must decide whether to stand her ground or walk away from the life she's begun to build. Meanwhile, Adrian grapples with the realization that love demands sacrifices, ones that may cost him the very empire he's worked so hard to create. Together, they face questions bigger than either of them. Can true love survive in a world obsessed with power and perception? And is it possible to rewrite the rules of a system that thrives on hierarchy and control? Just when it seems like they might find common ground, a new twist throws everything into chaos. An anonymous email accuses Luna of receiving preferential treatment, sparking an internal audit that puts her every move under scrutiny, with Henry, the stoic observer, trailing her every step. Luna fights to prove her worth, not for Adrian, but for herself. The pressure mounts, testing her resilience and resolve. Will she crumble under the weight of expectations, or rise above them to claim her place in a world that refuses to accept her on her own terms? And then there's the matter of the small box Adrian leaves for her at the lobby desk. Inside, she finds tokens of their journey together, a photo of them laughing, a copy of the campaign they created, and a blank sheet of paper waiting for her to write the next chapter. It's a gesture loaded with meaning, a silent plea for redemption and trust. But as Luna holds the box in trembling hands, the choice becomes hers alone to make. Does she take the leap of faith, or let fear dictate her path? This is where we leave Luna and Adrian. For now, theirs is a tale of courage, vulnerability, and the relentless pursuit of authenticity in a world that often values appearances over substance. As their story unfolds, it raises profound questions about identity, ambition, and the lengths we go to protect the ones we love. So, dear viewers, what do you think? Should Luna trust Adrian again? Or is this relationship doomed to fail? Pause here because the best is yet to come. Stay tuned for the next part, where secrets unravel, alliances shift, and love proves itself stronger than any obstacle. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear what you think. The moment Luna stepped out of that boardroom, her mind raced with questions she couldn't silence. How could she have been so blind? Adrian, the man who had shared an elevator panic attack with her, laughed at her jokes, and kissed her like nothing else mattered, wasn't just another employee. He was Adrian Cole, the CEO of Brightcore, a name whispered in hallways with reverence or resentment, depending on who you asked. Her heart felt heavy, torn between betrayal and something deeper, something she wasn't ready to name yet. She wanted to scream, to demand answers, but all she could do was grip the strap of her bag tighter as she walked back to her desk. Adrian, meanwhile, sat alone in his office, staring out at the city skyline. For the first time in years, he didn't feel like the powerful figure everyone expected him to be. Instead, he felt small, vulnerable, and painfully human. The look on Luna's face when she saw his title on the screen replayed over and over in his mind. He had seen confusion, anger, and hurt, all emotions he had tried so hard to avoid by hiding behind his casual demeanor. But now, there was no turning back. His secret was out, and it threatened to unravel everything they had built together. The tension between them grew thicker with each passing day. Luna avoided the elevators altogether, opting for the stairs, even though her legs burned by the end of the climb. Every glance across the room, every accidental brush in the hallway made her chest tighten. She knew people were watching, speculating about what had happened between the CEO and the girl who had dropped off her resume without an appointment. Whispers followed her everywhere, some sympathetic, others cruel. It didn't help that HR had started sending memos reminding everyone about workplace conduct policies. Adrian tried to reach out, leaving notes on her desk and sending carefully worded emails, but Luna ignored them all. She needed space, clarity, and most importantly, honesty. Yet every time she looked up and saw him standing near the coffee machine or walking through the creative floor, her resolve wavered. There was a part of her that still trusted him, still believed in the connection they shared. But how could she separate the man from the title? How could she trust someone who had kept such a monumental truth hidden? As days turned into weeks, the situation escalated. An anonymous email landed in the company's compliance department, accusing Luna of receiving preferential treatment due to her relationship with the CEO. Suddenly, she found herself under investigation, a formal process meant to determine whether ethical lines had been crossed. Henry, the internal observer assigned to monitor her routine, became a constant shadow, jotting down notes whenever she spoke to colleagues or lingered too long in meetings. The pressure mounted, making it harder for her to focus on work or sleep. At night, Adrian watched helplessly as the system he had built turned against them both. He had always prided himself on running a fair, transparent organization. But now he realized how fragile that ideal truly was. The board called him into emergency meetings, questioning his judgment and warning him about the risks of mixing personal and professional lives. "You're putting the company at stake," one director said sternly. "And yourself," another added quietly. Adrian nodded, accepting their words without argument. But inside, he seethed. Was love really such a liability? Despite the chaos, moments of quiet reflection brought clarity. Emily, a former colleague who had worked closely with Adrian before leaving the company earlier that year, reached out to Luna during a gallery event. Over glasses of sparkling water, she shared stories about the man behind the title, the one who remembered birthdays, stayed late to mentor struggling employees, and carried the weight of leadership silently. He doesn't open up easily, Emily admitted, but when he does, it means something. Those words lingered in Luna's mind long after the conversation ended, planting seeds of doubt about the narrative she had constructed in her head. Meanwhile, Thomas, the charismatic transfer from Chicago, continued to make waves within the team. His charm and efficiency earned him praise from higher-ups, but his interest in Luna seemed more personal than professional. He often lingered after meetings, offering advice or simply asking how she was holding up. While his intentions appeared genuine, Luna couldn't shake the feeling that he was waiting for her to falter, to give him an opening. Adrian noticed too, his jaw tightening whenever Thomas smiled at her or offered to grab lunch. Jealousy simmered beneath the surface, adding another layer of complexity to their already tangled web. The climax approached rapidly, triggered by a single decision that changed everything. Adrian announced plans to purchase a building and transform it into a creative hub, a space free from corporate constraints, where ideas could flourish without layers of approval. When he revealed this project to Luna, proposing her as its leader, she froze. Here was a chance to prove herself, to create something meaningful outside the confines of Brightcore's hierarchy. But accepting meant trusting Adrian again, believing in his vision despite the obstacles ahead. Luna wrestled with her decision late into the night, pacing her apartment while Anna watched silently from the couch. "You can't let fear dictate your life," Anna finally said, breaking the silence. "If you believe in this, if you believe in him, then take the leap. Worst case scenario, you fall. And guess what? You've got us to catch you." Her words struck a chord, reminding Luna of why she had taken a chance on dropping off her resume months ago. Life was too short to live in hesitation. The next morning, Luna walked into Adrian's office, unannounced. He looked up from his laptop, surprise flickering across his face. Before he could speak, she cut him off. "I'll lead the creative space," she said firmly, "but only if we agree on one thing. My position is based solely on merit, not favoritism. If anyone questions my role, I want the proof to shut them down." Adrian nodded, relief softening his features. "Deal," he replied, extending his hand. She shook it, sealing their pact with a mixture of hope and determination. With the foundation laid, the real challenge began. Luna threw herself into designing the new space, sketching layouts, choosing furniture, and envisioning walls filled with handwritten ideas. Adrian supported her quietly, bringing pizza, too, late-night brainstorming sessions, and listening intently to her thoughts. Slowly, the barriers between them began to crumble, replaced by a renewed sense of partnership. They weren't just rebuilding trust, they were creating something entirely new. But just as things seemed to stabilize, fate intervened once more. During a routine check-in with the compliance committee, Luna learned that the branding position she had initially been considered for was being reopened, and her name would be evaluated alongside others. This time, however, the stakes were higher. Rumors swirled that the board intended to use the selection process to test the legitimacy of her contributions. Success wouldn't just validate her skills, it would vindicate Adrian's belief in her. As the presentation day approached, nerves ran high. Luna spent hours perfecting her pitch, rehearsing until her voice grew hoarse. Adrian encouraged her, reminding her of the strength she had shown since day one. "You don't need me to tell you how brilliant you are," he said softly. "Just remember why you started." His words anchored her, grounding her amidst the storm. On the morning of the presentation, Luna stood outside the boardroom, clutching her notes. Through the glass walls, she spotted Adrian seated among the executives, his expression unreadable. Taking a deep breath, she pushed open the door and stepped inside. The room fell silent as all eyes turned to her. For a moment, she hesitated, the weight of expectation pressing down. Then, she began to speak, not as the girl who had stumbled into an elevator months ago, but as the woman who had fought to carve out her place in a world determined to define her. What happened next would change everything, for better or worse. The room erupted into applause. As Luna finished her presentation, the board members exchanging impressed glances. For the first time, there was no whispering about favoritism or hidden agendas, just genuine admiration for her work. Adrian watched from the corner of the room, his pride evident but unspoken. He didn't need to say anything. His faith in her had been clear all along, but as she stepped down from the podium and their eyes met, a silent understanding passed between them. They were ready to face whatever came next, together. Later that evening, Adrian surprised Luna with a quiet dinner at the office-turned creative space they'd built together. Fairy lights twinkled above them, casting soft shadows on the freshly painted walls. The space felt alive, buzzing with possibility, just like their relationship. As they sat across from each other, plates of takeout sushi between them, Adrian leaned forward, his expression serious, yet warm. "Luna," he began, "this place, it's not just a creative hub. It's proof that we can rewrite the rules. And I think it's time we write our own story completely." She tilted her head, curiosity sparking in her eyes. "What are you saying?" He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box, opening it to reveal a simple gold band nestled inside. "I'm saying, I want to spend the rest of my life proving to you that love doesn't have to be complicated, that titles don't define us, that even if the world tries to pull us apart, I'll always choose you." Her breath caught, tears welling up as she stared at the ring. "Adrian," she whispered, unsure whether to laugh or cry. "Yes?" he prompted, half joking but entirely sincere. "Yes," she said firmly, reaching across the table to grab his hand. "Yes, yes, 1,000 times, yes." Their engagement marked the start of a new chapter, one filled with laughter, challenges, and shared dreams. Over the following months, Luna threw herself into leading the creative unit, mentoring young talents who reminded her of herself when she first walked into Brightcore. Adrian stepped back from day-to-day operations, focusing instead on expanding initiatives that supported innovation outside traditional corporate structures. Together, they became a symbol of balance, business acumen, meeting boundless creativity. But life wasn't without its surprises. One crisp spring morning, Luna woke up feeling unusually queasy. At first, she brushed it off as exhaustion from late nights brainstorming campaign ideas. When the symptoms persisted, she decided to visit a doctor. The news left her stunned. She was pregnant, with twins. She called Adrian immediately, her voice trembling with excitement and nerves. By the time he rushed home, she was pacing the living room, holding the ultrasound picture like it might disappear. "We're having 2 babies," she blurted out before he could ask why she looked so pale. His jaw dropped, then broke into an incredulous grin. "2? As in 2? She nodded, laughing despite her anxiety. "A team effort, apparently." They spent the rest of the afternoon curled up on the couch, imagining what their future would look like, chaotic, joyful, and endlessly unpredictable. As the months passed, their lives transformed in ways neither of them could have anticipated. Friends and colleagues rallied around them, turning the creative space into a makeshift baby shower venue adorned with handmade decorations and heartfelt gifts. Even Thomas sent a card congratulating them, his note reading simply, "Love finds its way." It was a reminder that forgiveness and growth often go hand in hand. On the day of the wedding, held under a canopy of vines at a serene vineyard, Luna walked down the aisle barefoot, her dress flowing like water behind her. Adrian stood waiting, dressed in his signature light blue suit, looking every bit the man she'd fallen for. Not because of his title, but because of his heart. Their vows were raw and honest, promises spoken not just to each other, but to everyone watching. They vowed to embrace vulnerability, celebrate imperfection, and never stop listening. Even when life got loud, months later, cradling their newborn twins in their arms, Adrian and Luna realized how far they'd come since that fateful elevator ride. What started as a chance encounter had blossomed into something extraordinary, a partnership rooted in trust, respect, and endless humor. Their journey hadn't been easy, but it had been worth every moment. As they sat together one evening, the babies asleep in their bassinets, Luna turned to Adrian with a mischievous smile. "You know," she said, "if someone had told me my life would change after walking into the wrong elevator, I would have laughed." He chuckled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. And now, she replied softly, "I never want to leave." Their story wasn't perfect. It was messy, real, and full of unexpected twists. But it was theirs. And as they kissed beneath the glow of fairy lights strung across their porch, surrounded by the sounds of laughter and life, they knew they'd found exactly where they belonged.